Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're uh, tackling something lots of people deal with, keeping intimacy alive when you're miles apart.
Yeah, long distance love.
Exactly. And you've shared some great resources articles from Marriage.com, Tony Robbins, Times of India, Education by Vocal, lots of different angles here.
Mm.
Our goal is basically to pull out the best, most useful stuff from these, give you some solid strategies,
Yeah.
to feel closer in your LDR.
And it's pretty amazing how much guidance there actually is from really diverse places, too.
Yeah.
We've got this massive list from marriage.com, 27 specific intimacy tips.
Wow, 27.
Yeah. Then Tony Robbins on, keeping passion going generally, which totally applies here.
Okay.
Plus practical stuff from Times of India. And then Education by Vocal has these really heartfelt, more emotional tips and gives a really rounded view.
Okay, so let's dive right in then. What hits you first?
For me, it's how everyone agrees intimacy is just essential, not optional. Absolutely. That's the baseline. Lisa Side, she's a therapist, quoted on marriage.com. She puts it plainly. LDRs can work, but you need that extra effort for intimacy.
Wait, that's for effort.
Without it, she says, it just feels like a struggle.
Yeah.
And you can see why, right? Distance creates these gaps, these worries.
Mm.
And intimacy, emotional, sexual, even just playing around, that fills those gaps. It fights that feeling of being disconnected.
That makes total sense. You're actively pushing back against the distance itself.
Exactly.
And Tony Robbins, he brings this really empowering angle, doesn't he? Challenging that idea that passion just fades.
Yeah, I love that point. He argues it doesn't have to fade, not in any long-term relationship, and definitely not just because of distance.
So it's a choice.
It's about conscious effort. You can maintain it. You can even reignite it.
Yeah.
So distance isn't some automatic passion killer.
Yeah.
The sources together are kind of saying, look, you have agency here. You can work on this. It's proactive, not just hoping for the best.
Puts you in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, communication, obviously key. But these articles go deeper than just, texting.
Way deeper. Marriage.com really warns against those robotic messages.
Well, sleep well, love you.
Exactly. The ones that feel like checking a box. They say message like your partner's right there. Speak from the heart.
And Education by Vocal adds to that, right? Suggesting better questions.
Yeah. Moving past, how is your day? Which can be so flat. They suggest things like, what made you smile today? Or what's something I can do for you right now, even from here?
Oh, I like that last one. It feels really connecting.
It does. It's an invitation, isn't it? And Tony Robbins, he stresses the quality of the talk.
And not just quantity.
Right. Making plans together, really getting your partner's love language, sharing your actual thoughts, your feelings.
He has that ratio, too, the 5.1 thing.
Yes. Aiming for 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative one. Apparently, the research backs that up strongly for relationship health. It builds up this, buffer of goodwill.
That's a good tangible goal. 5-1. But Times of India adds a warning, right? But too much texting.
Yeah, that's a crucial point. Staying in touch helps fight the loneliness, obviously. You crave that presence,
Right.
but overdoing it can actually smother independence. You need your own lives, too. So it's a balance.
A tricky balance.
Finding that sweet spot, connected but not clingy, respecting each other's space. And Education by Vocal, they mention voice notes and video messages, which makes sense.
Adds that personal touch.
Yeah.
Hearing their voice, seeing their face. Text can be so misinterpreted sometimes.
Exactly. It brings a bit of that presence back, bridging the physical
Right.
gap.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Sexual intimacy. That's got to be tough long distance. Marriage.com seems to have a whole playbook here.
They really do. It's impressive, actually. They cover a whole spectrum.
Like what specifically?
Okay, so things like sharing sensual photos, but safely, consensually, teasing texts, using your imagination during calls, being really vocal.
Vocal.
Yeah, describing things. They also mention using sex toys, maybe even together remotely.
Interesting.
Sharing in the dark videos again, big emphasis on consent and comfort there. Even writing erotica together.
Writing erotica. That's creepy.
Isn't it? A different way to connect intimately. And the list goes on. Phone sex, Skype, or video sex.
Wait, the more expected stuff.
Yeah, but also things like planning happy ending sessions. Basically, mutual masturbation remotely.
Gotcha.
Role-playing over the phone, talking about your best sexual memories together, sexting, even games like Guess the Sex Emoji.
Guess the emoji.
Okay.
That sounds kind of fun, actually.
You gotta think outside the box. They even suggest giving each other sex tasks, like watching certain porn or creating a shared sex bucket list or playlist.
Wow. A whole range from playful to Pretty intense.
Exactly. But crucially, the article stresses talking about it all.
Mhm.
Open communication, boundaries, making sure you're both comfortable, and it's actually enhancing the connection, not just filling a void.
That communication piece is key. And it's not just about sex, right?
Mhm.
All the sources talk about non-sexual intimacy, too.
Oh, absolutely. That romantic connection, the emotional closeness, it's just as vital.
Virtual date nights seem to be a big one. Everyone mentions those.
Yeah, and they can be simple. Watching the same movie, playing an online game, cooking the same recipe over video chat. It's about that shared experience.
Creates a sense of normalcy, maybe.
I think so. And sending gifts, Times of India and Education by Vocal both highlight this. The surprise package just shows you're thinking of them. It's tangible.
Makes them feel remembered.
Exactly. And celebrating things like birthdays or anniversaries, even virtually. Times of India mentions making a fuss posts, calls, maybe even a virtual party. It marks the occasion.
Reinforces the bond when you can't be there.
Definitely. And just talking, really talking. Times of India suggests discussing dreams, appreciating each other out loud, planning future trips.
Keeping that future vision alive.
And simple things, too, like sending love e-cards.
Marriage.com had even more ideas here, too, didn't they?
Yeah, loads. Like setting specific intimacy goals related to your next visit creates anticipation.
We're talking about fantasies.
Yeah.
Also builds anticipation.
Right. Playing couple games like 20 questions or even strip text if that's your thing. Dressing up for video calls, making an effort.
Shows you care.
Totally. Some more unique ones they had were like falling asleep together on the phone.
Oh, wow. For that feeling of presence.
Guess so. Lingerie shopping online for each other for the next reunion. Talking about each other's bodies in detail.
Creating intimacy through words.
Precisely. And even sending actual physical mail, a surprise letter, maybe scented with something familiar. That physical object can mean a lot.
It really does highlight how much creativity and intentionality is needed. You can't just let it coast.
Not long distance, no. Which brings us to trust. Huge, right? Especially when you're apart.
Education by Vocal really focused on this.
Yeah, they talked about trust without fear, having real faith in your partner, in the relationship itself.
Believing them.
Believing them, yeah. And being upfront with your own feelings, not letting doubts just, fester. And celebrating the small things together, the little wins in each other's days, even from afar. It builds that shared reality.
Makes sense. Without trust, all those distance anxieties would just eat away at things.
Totally. And linked to that is staying positive, focusing on the future.
That was Education by Vocal, too.
Yes. Keep talking about your shared plans, where you're headed together. That shared vision is like fuel.
Gives you something to hold on to.
Right. And also, importantly, keep growing as individuals. Have your own interests, your own life. A strong relationship needs two strong people.
Not just losing yourself in the waiting.
Exactly. And remembering why you're doing this, why the relationship is worth the distance, especially when it gets tough.
Good point. And Tony Robbins kind of ties a bow on this, reminding us to be active creators, right?
Yeah, don't just hope for a good relationship. Build it. Grow together, learn new things, maybe even take an online class together or something.
Let go of old stuff, too.
Stop living old stories, forgive past issues, love your partner now, and give to them. Make them feel like a priority.
Which, as Marriage.com also said, means making time. Consistently.
That's the bottom line, isn't it? Make the time. Otherwise, you just drift.
So it all weaves together. Communication, creativity, trust, effort, positive focus.
Exactly. You see these threads running through all the advice. Intentional action is the key.
Okay, so bringing it all home for you, our listener, what are the main takeaways here?
Well, look, distance is hard, no doubt. It throws up unique intimacy hurdles. But the good news is there are tons of ways through or around them.
A whole toolkit.
Yeah, a really diverse toolkit. But the core things, the non-negotiables that keep coming up are really intentional, open communication.
Beyond the surface level.
Right. Getting creative with affection and desire, building and maintaining that solid foundation of trust, and keeping a positive outlook, focusing on that shared future you're building.
So actionable advice. What should someone listening actually do?
I'd say look at that big list, those 27 ideas and the other principles we talked about. See what jumps out at you, what feels right for you and your partner.
Don't try everything at once.
Probably not. Start small. Talk about it first. Hey, I heard this idea. Want to try it? And just remember, it's the consistent effort, even small things, that really counts over time.
Right. Consistency is key.
Definitely. And maybe this leaves you with something interesting to think about. We've talked a lot about how much effort LDRs take for intimacy.
Yeah, intentional effort.
So the question is, could actively working to bridge that physical distance actually make certain parts of your connection stronger in ways that couples who live together might, might just take for granted?
Huh. That's a provocative thought. Could the effort itself build something unique?
Maybe. Something to ponder anyway.